Welcome back. The sex dungeon father has spoken out for the first time. Joseph Fritzl, who imprisoned his daughter Elizabeth in this underground prison for 24 years and fathered 7 of her children, is trying to get his side out from behind bars. Fritzl, through notes written from his cell and released through his lawyer, says that he's not a monster. Quote, "I could have killed all of them, and nothing would have ever been known about it." Gerrit Vincent, with our British partner ITV, has the latest.
And so the monster speaks about the hell he created and the appalling suffering he caused. From his jail cell, Fritzl recalls that he couldn't help but routinely rape his daughter. Incest was an obsession. "I knew Elizabeth didn't want me to do what I did to her," he says. "I knew that I was hurting her. It was like an addiction. In reality, I wanted children with her." As a teenager, Elizabeth wouldn't follow his rules. She would go out all night and come home smelling of alcohol, he says. Her imprisonment, her father tells us, was for her own good. "I had to create a place where I gave her the chance to keep away from the bad influences of the outside world. I was delighted about the children. It was great for me to have a second family in the cellar with a wife and a few children." Fritzl is clearly quite proud of the hole he dug underground. He's pleased with the bathroom and kitchen he fitted so his victims could exist while he was away. The cellar, he says, was his kingdom, where he enjoyed a grotesque of family life. "When I went into the bunker," he says, "I brought flowers for my daughter and books and toys for the children. We all sat round the table and ate together. We celebrated birthdays and Christmas. I even brought a Christmas tree secretly into the cellar and cakes and presents." Fritzl offers his Nazi upbringing as explanation for his crimes. He'll plead insanity so as to avoid the punishment he gave his daughter, a life in prison.
Unbelievable. That was Gerrit Vincent reporting. Here now, MSNBC analyst, former FBI profiler Clint Van Zandt, Herbert Bauernebel, a correspondent with an Austrian daily newspaper, and clinical psychologist Jeff Gardier. Thanks to all of you for coming on. Appreciate it. Doctor, you know, it is so hard to list those words. Gave me a chill as I listened to it. This is a guy who's trying to create an insanity defense, it seems like, right? Talking about the flowers he's bringing her, etc.
Yeah, I think that this is a person who's allowing himself to consciously decompensate. He is just letting it all hang out. He's just talking about all of his fantasies, letting us know everything that's in his mind. But I think that's part of his malingering so that we can all believe that there is some sort of insanity there. I don't see insanity. What I see is a personality disorder. Someone who is more of a sociopath than anything else.
Clint, in his first public words, Joseph Fritzl said this as well: "My daughter was going out to seedy bars and would spend whole nights there drinking and smoking. I only tried to rescue her from that life. I had to create a place where I could keep Elizabeth separated from that world."
Well, what he's not telling us, Dan, is the separation started when he started having sex with her when she was 11, and then started to build this bunker 3 years before he actually captured her. So this fantasy, he was acting out the fantasy when the daughter was upstairs in the upstairs world, and then he created the downstairs world for her. But, you know, this gets deeper and darker, Dan, because this is the guy who says, "My father left my mother, I stayed with my mother, I was like a husband to her, I had sexual thoughts concerning her." There was something going on in that house that probably contributed to who this guy is today, Dan.
He said, "I grew up in the Nazi times, and that meant there needed to be control and the respect of authority. I suppose I took on some of those old values with me into later life." He went on to say the urge to have sex with Elizabeth was only increasing. There was no way out, not for Elizabeth, but also not for me. Why is he releasing these statements, Doctor?
Again, I think that he wants people to understand that he's a human being, not a monster, that this is about an impulse control problem. He couldn't help himself. He's not in charge. But one thing, Dan, no one has talked about this. If he has in fact raped his daughter, has he actually tried to be sexually aggressive or active with any of his other children? And no one is talking about that.
Well,
and I know Clint
let's ask
might,
well, let me ask
Herbert.
Let me ask Herbert about that. From Herbert, do we know anything about that?
Well, so far, I haven't heard anything that's been confirmed by anybody. There are rumors, of course, but I don't think at this point he has released any of those information.
Can you tell us in Austria how it works when someone wants to plead insanity? I mean, here it varies state to state. The question is very often, did they understand right from wrong? Do you know sort of what he will have to prove under Austrian law?
Well, he has to. I mean, he's making his first attempt with all these statements he has released. That seems obvious that his lawyer wants to get an insanity defense for him. He has to prove that he was driven by something that's nothing to do with reason. I think that's the standard in Austria.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to take a break in a minute, but Clint, a final thing about his mother. This is about talking about being attracted to his mother.
Yeah.
He says, I was like a husband to her. Talking about his mother. Yeah. I loved her across all boundaries. I was totally in awe of her. That did not mean there was anything else between us, though. I was able to keep my desires under control.
I doubt that seriously. I think he crossed boundaries that you know, society and life and the human mind just shouldn't be crossing. And this is a guy, Dan, I remember one time arresting a guy who had sexually abused his children, grandchildren, and he was starting on his great-grandchildren before we finally found out about him. This guy is probably in that same class.
Herbert, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.